What's up guys, CJ Kid 1231 here, back again with another hip hop album review. This time we are reviewing Snoop Dogg's I Wanna Thank Me that came out in August of this year. So here's what I want to say first. When I first heard this album, I thought initially off the first 6 tracks that this was gonna be a very amazing album that might have been classic eventually if it continued on the path that the first tracks had laid, like with the soundscape, the messaging, the topics that he chose to talk about, all that stuff. If it would have continued from what the first 6 tracks sounded like, I think it would have been amazing. But instead, it's another Snoop album in which he tries to incorporate many different sounds and genres of music in here, as well as his rapping ability, his storytelling ability. It's like he tried to put a lot of different. If he was a chef, he tried to make gumbo and try to put like a lot of different ingredients from different things in one pot. Like he tried to mix the chicken, but he also wanted the cake and cookies. But then he also wanted the lettuce and tomatoes and the bananas and apples in here. That's the best way I could describe it. I considered it. I've listened to it 3 times at least, 4 and 5 to be honest, because I did it before doing this video. And yeah, it could almost be looked at based off the first 6 tracks that it might be the biggest trick of a hip hop album, meaning that it's extremely good, but then I'll say it like this: none of the tracks on here are really bad, but some of them are out there, and some of them, like this album, feels like Snoop tried to make 2 separate albums. One which was serious and very deep, and maybe peeling back some layers on certain situations he didn't really speak on as deeply as he did on these 6 tracks. Maybe there was one part of this project that was going to go in that direction, and then it seemed like he one day just came in and decided, I need to add some hits and want to make it commercially accessible and all that. And he decided to throw and make that and get in that mode, and then at the end he just threw both of them together and you have this album. But I have to say, I do feel that in doing so, that first we have to look at how old Snoop is. Not saying that his age has anything to do with skill, because he's still rapping the same as he usually is. He's not as good as he was in his earlier years, but he's still very, very good. The thing is like, when I say his age may play a part, is like he's almost gonna turn, I think, either maybe 50 or something. I could be wrong, but let's say, for example, he might like be turning 50 soon. I don't think, as a 50-year-old MC who still has the longevity, still has he's still very wanted in hip hop. People still want to collaborate with him. Just to have him on your record is a big look. He still has a lot of value. The thing is like, in order to make an album as great as some of your best projects, which to me, of course, Doggy Style, but then I'll also throw in The Last Meal and the Blue Carpet Treatment in there, like albums like that, I really do think that it does demand some sort of focus, concentration, exact planning. I'm not saying every classic album was made in that way, where they had everything thought out and all that stuff. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying it does take some effort into being somewhat, not even authentic, but just being focused and having a focused direction as far as what the project's going to be, what it's going to sound like, what's it going to deal with, and then following it straight through all the way to the end. And at this point in time, he has kids. Probably some of them, I don't know. I would think some of them are like in high school, maybe college. He coaches, I think, a football team. Like, he has a wife at home. Like, he's a family man, and he does I think he does like a poker show. I think, like, he's doing all that stuff. So he really can't put all that focus that you would need to create a album like I just described. He's not gonna do that. I think he still does albums because of the fact that he still loves the music. He still gets a rush when he thinks of idea. Like, ideas are still running through your head when you're that passionate about something and you can't get it out. Like, he still hears sounds and songs in his head that he wants to, lay on. And that's what a lot of his albums have been for the past couple of years. It's just, I just want to make an album. I want to make an album for me. That's how I feel like he feels. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what? I have to give respect though. He kind of knows what it takes, and he knows that at this juncture in his life and at this age, he's not trying to do all that. So he's gonna just make an album of what he wants and doesn't care what anybody may feel about it, as long as it's great and his true fans appreciate it. And then you have to respect Snoop for that. The fact that he's willing to experiment and do all that, the fact that he's taking the effort. I mean, the fact that he has at least more than 15 studio albums, I think, and that's not even including like the other 6 collaborative projects he has with Daz, the Eastsiders, 213, and Wiz Khalifa, like, or the one with Pharrell. Like, he has a bunch of projects, and the fact that he has all those and still doing music and is still somewhat relevant amongst the artists of today and whatnot, that's a salute in itself. But doesn't change how I may feel about this project. You know, the thing, I'm just looking at the notes again. The thing the tracks that did stand out are the ones that were produced by Battle Cat, Van Gogh, Green Lantern, and Swiss Beats. Everything else in here sounded like a attempt at a commercial sound. Again, even though I did describe that he probably just wanted to make what he wanted and not give a F. So if he wanted to make some commercial to slap it on here, I just think that the sequencing maybe could have been better. Like if because again, it does sound like it's 2 albums like mixed mashed into one. So maybe he could have had the serious side towards the end and more of the commercial stuff towards the front, or maybe the serious stuff towards the front and the commercial stuff towards the end. Because after the first 6 tracks, which focus more on the serious side, it does become a little bit of mixy mashy after that. But I mean, yeah, it sounded a lot better, this whole project. It did sound a lot better the second time around, I'm not gonna lie. But the problems that it still has are still present. Even if it does sound a little bit less bothersome as you listen more to it, it's still there. All that means is that if your whole arm was itching, the whole arm, and you just scratch right here, only that part is going to be cured. And let's say me listening to it a second time, I scratch again a second time. Now the whole arm right here is cured, but it's still scratchy. So it doesn't change the whole way I feel about the whole album and what I think about it. Even though I may understand where a lot of it's coming from. See what I'm saying? So, I mean, here we go. I mean, I guess I discussed everything I wanted to discuss. I will say this though, because I know I'm gonna catch some flack for it. I do have favorite tracks, and I will say right now that the winter track with Nate Dogg is not. I mean, it's growing to be there, but it's not initially. Like, I could stand it. The Nate Dogg track, the winter track. Interesting thing about that track is that Snoop said that it took at least a year for him to write anything and get the recording process done, because every time he heard Nate Dogg sing, it made him cry and it made him emotional, and he couldn't just do it. So I mean, again, they did grow up with each other. They were in the business. They grew up in the business with each other for a very, very long time. So the fact that Nate Dogg hasn't been here for a minute, and you hear new stuff from him, new material from him, I'm pretty sure it's gonna make anybody cry, because Nate Dogg was a hell of a singer, and he could really bring that emotion out of you, especially in his vocal performance. So I mean, I love the beat and stuff, but again, it didn't mesh well with the tracks that I like, which were on the more serious side. Maybe again, it wasn't supposed to, I'll say this for this album before we get to the favorite tracks, because after we go through the favorite tracks, I want to get into 2 other tracks too that make me feel a certain way about this project. The thing is, with this album, it's almost as if Snoop tried to do his interpretation, or at least his idea of Aquemini from Outkast. How you know how in that album, Aquemini, Outkast pulled from many different genres, but made it work and made it fit with their sound, not bring their sound and transfer it over and just leave it. You know, they took the sounds from different genres, added that Dungeon Family, Earth Tone 3, Outkast vibe to it, sequenced it. They did it. They really planted out, and it worked. It seemed like Snoop tried to do this, except he didn't make the sound his own. He kind of just took the sound and just like, okay, we're gonna throw you here. You know what I mean? I mean, he has a song with Jermaine Dupri, Reggaeton, Salsa Guy, Ozuna, and Slim Jimmy. So if you think that was a weird mix, and the song isn't bad, but it just like, I don't know, it didn't feel. But anyhow, well, let's get into the favorite tracks. Now, what you're talking about is basically him flexing lyrically mostly. That's the intro to this album. And it basically sets it off perfectly to the way that I, predicted how he felt, which is, how you going to tell me how to do me when I've been doing me and it's been working for me for the past 2 decades. You see what I'm saying? So he's just trying to do him right now. He's probably not trying to, take up extra time in his life to do another Doggy Style or anything like that, because that would take a lot of time, because you gotta go back to the drawing board and do all that. So I think that just tells us and tells him that he's aware of his situation and what people may think of him. And then in this song he replies to that and tells us, the listeners, well, you may know, so now that you know, that I'm just trying to just make music and not trying to really go overboard with it. Deal with it. If not, next track, so misinformed. Yes, one of the best tracks on the album. These has great beat and a great use of Slick Rick as well, and it really speaks on the women's history in the first verse and second verse, just the black struggle in general and what they had to go through. I'm sorry if I'm yawning. It's very late that when I'm doing this review. But yeah, that's so misinformed. The beat is crazy. I think it's a Battle Cat track once again. Which I really think that one thing that might help Snoop's credit, not that he needs any more credibility or anything like that, because he's fucking Snoop Dogg, but one thing that I think would have people looking at Snoop like, damn, okay, he's back, is if he did a whole album with just Battle Cat on the production. I think that would sound amazing, based off the tracks we got on this album, which another one, Let Bygones Be Bygones, which is actually, him talking positively and showing love for Suge. A lot of people don't really do that I know of. I can't think of a positive dedication in rap format to Suge Knight, especially after all the stuff he's done. So the fact that he was really showing love to Suge and talking about the Death Row legacy and just talking about, all the stuff that he has now wouldn't be the stuff that he has now if it wasn't for Dre and Suge and Death Row. So, the fact that he took time out to salute that man, even though he's in jail for, things that he probably should be in jail for, it just goes to show you that Snoop is past all that. And, grown men, old, can't be mad at each other forever. And they squashed the beef too, so they're not mad at each other. It's just one friend seeing another friend lock them for that long. It's just, Then we have One Blood, One Cuz, another great, amazing track, which, the first verse is kind of dedicated to Nipsey Hussle because he lost his life to, gun violence and maybe even gang violence. And then you also have, the unity, he talks about the unity of Bloods and Crips somewhat on the second album, and even in the video. I don't know if you guys ever seen the video. Pretty interesting video. Then we have Countdown, which is basically Snoop just rapping, but it has good production and good use of Swizz beats. That's crazy, that beat, man. Swizzy, crazy, yo. But, man, I just thought it was a good track overall. Then you have I See Your Bullshit, good production. It's probably my least of the favorite tracks that I have on here, but it's a favorite because I could dig it. Then it's basically talking about people, basically faking the funk and trying to act all tongue, not tongue, tough, but and get, and have to get G-checked by people that really are about that life, and then, you catch them on their bullshit. They weren't as tough as they thought they were, or as they were portrayed they were. So that's what that is. First place talks about things, and that being first, such as that being first at business, not taking any shorts from nobody, don't let anybody sell you short, you know what I mean? That's why that song's called First Place, because you are first place at whatever you want to do. Nobody tell you different. Focus, one of my other favorite tracks, it actually sounded like it could have been for Dr. Dre, the way that this was produced and the sound that comes from it. It does sound like something that Drake would use, but nonetheless, it talks about staying focused on himself, his family, as well as shouting out Sugar again. It probably goes deeper than that, but this listening session I had with this was like maybe an hour and a half ago, so I'm sorry if you think my memory's bad based off that. But I love that song Focus. That beat is crazy. Rise to the Top, great production, never stops doing what you do, and Snoop, that's the overall message. Never stop doing what you do, just keep pushing forward. You know what I mean? Snoop is on here bragging though a little bit. He does brag on the song a little bit. Then you have Been Looking For You, which I believe is the last track. No, it's not. It's not the last track. I apologize. It's basically. Hold on. I'm sorry. All right. I've Been Looking For You is essentially. I like it because it's a take on one of my favorite Roy. Damn it! I can't believe I forgot his name. He's the original guy that composed Sunshine. Love my life in the sunshine. Do 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 do. That song. And this is basically Snoop's rendition of it. And I have to say it's pretty good. The fact that the way they use the beat, the way they kind of come up with their own lyrics to that, I really do think that it may be scoring points based off nostalgia reasons. Not nostalgia reasons, but just based off favoritism of the sample they got it from. But what am I going to say? And the last thing, I want to thank me. It's him giving himself flowers because nobody else will. So, that's essentially what that is. Not special, right? It's just Snoop saying, look, I'm going to thank me for being able to be in the game as long as I have, putting out as many projects as I have, making all the sacrifices I had to make, all the BS I had to deal with. You know what I mean? That's that rapper talk right there. And again, I think it's a battle cat production as well. I could be wrong, but I will say this: Do you like I do? Does sound like something that would play in Party City somewhere in the '80s. I'm just saying. And then you have Little Square UB something. Just a lot of these songs. I mean, they just didn't fit. Like, if this album was shorter and it was probably 11 tracks with the ones I named on the track, this album would be rated much higher. But since it's 22 tracks and you have a bit of filler on there, I'm sorry, I can't really explain. But at the end of the day, that was my favorite tracks, and then I just talked about the 2 tracks that I promised I was going to talk about after my favorite tracks, as far as like Do You Like I Do It, Lil Duval, which is, I should have realized it was going to be a joke anyway. But anywho, let's talk about the whole album in scope. Before I give it a rating, I will say, again, same issues. Great deep cuts mixed in with commercial aspiring cuts, and it just didn't mix. And, out of all, let's look at the favorite tracks list first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I like 11 tracks out of 22 tracks. That is somewhat a cause for concern. But I will say this. All these songs sound amazing. It's just that since they're all different, it doesn't sound as cohesive, I guess. as other albums may have sound throughout the year. It just is like, I'm gonna throw a Party City, Everybody Family Dance record over here. Okay, I'm gonna throw some Love to the Crips about One Blood, One Cuz over here on this part of the album. It's like, alright, guy. But anywho, I really did go back and forth on this one on whether I was gonna do a 3.5 or 4. But now that I think about it, at first I was gonna give it a 3.5. But you know what? It's just hard. I'm probably gonna have to also give it a. You can fucking hate me if you want. I think this might just be a 3.5 based on the fact that there's 22 tracks, only 11 of them I'm feeling, and that's pretty much it. I don't think I could say it any simpler than that. Honestly, you know, majority of them I was like, would have worked out if it went on a different project, but the first 6 and the other 11 I talked about, I mean, great stuff. Again, if he ever does an album fully with Battle Cat, I will be on board, and I will say right now that that album, whenever it does come, will be one of his best. But until then, Snoop Dogg, I want to thank me. Good, but not too great. You know what I mean? And especially where Snoop's life is at right now, I can't say I'm surprised. Although a surprise from Snoop is always welcome. When it comes to surprising you with what he's gonna say, does he actually change it up? Oh, that's surprising, but I mean, you know, at the end of the day, I'm gonna just say this: great album. It's whatever 3.5, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I think I'm nodding off here as I'm talking, and I don't wanna nod completely off on this video. So I will say this. Love you, CJ Kid 123. If you like what I'm doing, you can like and comment. Only subscribe if you think what I'm doing is worth it. Subscriptions are earned, not asked for. This has been the album review for I Want to Thank Me by Snoop Dogg, 2019, August. Rating is 3.5. Great, okay, cool album. And, you know, hoping to hear from Snoop one day once again with Battle Cat handling most of the production, to be honest. And with that said, guys, I am out. The next album I will be reviewing will be... I'll let you guys find out. How about that? Until then, stay tuned.